Hello, this is your host Akhil Navluri, and welcome to the brand new episode of the Techospace podcast series. In this podcast episode, I'm super thrilled and honored to be collaborating with one of the most eminent and prominent industry leaders of the agentic AI space and IT space, Mr. Peter Koslowski, who happens to be the agentic AI GTM leader of the company Nova Intelligence, and he's based out of San Francisco, California, United States of America. So, Peter, it gives me a tremendous pleasure to welcome you to this podcast episode of mine. So, Peter, how are you doing, and how is San Francisco during the pre-Christmas time?
Hi, Akhil. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me on the podcast and for your very warm introduction. I hope I'll step up to the expectations set. All is good. Today is a beautiful sunny day in San Francisco, California. So a great day to enjoy.
All right. That's amazing. I mean, but I mean, when it comes to Christmas, sometimes the only answer that I hear from my guests is that, it's pretty cool. But first time from your end, I'm hearing that San Francisco is really bright. So I'm like, wow, that's a good Christmas time, an ideal Christmas one.
Yes, the United States is blessed to have all possible climates, right?
Mhm.
So whatever you enjoy, winter, desert, or sunny seaside, you'll find it in the United States at any time of the year. Almost. Let's put this way.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, I will definitely visit the US sometime in the future and really looking forward for that. So, yes, Peter, so without any further ado, let's kick off with our podcast session. All right. All right, Peter. So, Peter, I've seen that, you have witnessed the evolution of enterprise technology from on-premise ERP, to cloud native and now AI-driven systems. Now, according to you, I wanted to understand, like, what have been the defining shifts along that path and how did you shape your focus on, this AI-backed modernization?
Um, when I look back, Akil, the enterprise technology world has moved indeed across multiple eras. So in my early days, everything was about control, on-premise data centers, big ERP programs, long release cycles. Stability and security was probably the goal number one. And then cloud arrived, right? And almost overnight, the conversation shifted to agility, to faster integration, shorter cycles, connected data, entirely new business models. But with every wave of innovation I have been part of, something else grew quietly underneath the
Okay.
complexity, right?
Hmm.
Companies modernized the surface, but the technical depth at the core kept building. The cloud did not remove the problem, it just moved it. And it has been that tension, innovation on top, complexity below, that drew me toward AI. I realized automation shouldn't just execute tasks, it should understand them. We're moving from process automation to knowledge automation, from systems that follow instructions to systems that can reason and interpret their environment.
Yeah.
And that's where agentic AI becomes so exciting. It introduces technology that is not static, right? But adaptive, context aware, continuously improving. So systems that help enterprises think, learn, and modernize together with you.
That's fantastic, Peter. That's a beautiful insight. Now, Peter, when the cloud came into emergence, did you see that, training the staff and, the employees, was it a challenge or did people, get adapted to the cloud nuances quickly?
Absolutely. It's always a challenge, but at the same time, it's an opportunity. And I think all of us at that time, and myself, learned that the change is the opportunity. You want to embrace change, learning what's coming, becoming part of it, and taking it, so to say, to the next level.
Okay. That's amazing, Peter. I mean, that gives a very good, that actually strikes a chord with a lot of people in the audience, especially with me. So I really, really like this beautiful insight given by you. Now, Peter, for listeners, who are less familiar with the term clean core, and I'm pretty sure that it's about simplifying the enterprise systems so they stay agile and upgradable. Now, according to you, how is AI and especially the agentic AI helping these organizations put that principle in practice at a huge scale?
Yes, very happy to, Akhil. And I'd like to open up um, with an observation that I believe that clean core isn't just a technical guideline or a technical term, right? I see it as a mindset about keeping your foundation stable so innovation can happen safely on top, exactly how you said that. Well, the challenge, of course, is real. Many enterprises have tens, 20, some of them even 30 years of custom logic built on top, right? So you can't simply go and say, clean it up. You have to enable the cleanup.
Okay.
In the past, for example, rewriting or understanding millions lines of code was incredibly expensive.
Hmm.
Um, it's similar to what we saw during the year 2000 back time. We call it like year 2K era, right? The
Hmm.
problem at the time wasn't the COBOL language. It was just the volume of the legacy code written in COBOL, right? And many SAP landscape look the same today, vast, undocumented, deeply interconnected connected systems. And this is where I see agentic AI changes the game. Agents can read ABAP, the SAP language, or any other, map dependencies, explain intent, highlight what's redundant or risky. And when you choose to rewrite something because it needs to be rewritten, AI coding agents can actually work with you, reduce the effort dramatically. So in that sense, AI becomes the engine of Clean Core. It transforms Clean Core from like one-time project into continuous modernization practice. And this is how
Right.
we should kind of look at it, from the kind of a technical depth perspective.
That's 100%, Peter. Totally agreed on that. Now, before the emergence of AI, Peter, what did you I mean, what do you think was the clean core, objective before AI actually came into the existence?
So before AI, we were able to, and this is where the efforts were focused on, trying to document it, right? Trying to organize it, right? Trying to understand um, which part of the code actually meets the standard of a clean core, right? And which part of the code needs to be transformed, right? Obviously, at that time, we did not have the transformation engine we have today, but at least from the documentation and visibility perspective, we were able to make some good insights.
That is absolutely true. Now, you told me that, back then during the legacy system, getting the code was like expensive. So if I ask you, like, how expensive was that? Like, what was the cost, like roughly?
Well, the cost was so high, Akilo, and we go back to the year 2000 problem, right? That the companies were not able to afford it from the budget, but also timing perspective. So like, when you think like towards the end of the 90s, when everybody feared that the year 2000 back would disrupt IT operations, many customers moved away from the mainframe systems, right? Looked at distributed systems which were year 2K compliant, and SAP was one of them. So during
Okay.
that time, it was like 890s, SAP won a lot of customers who were actually rushing and moving their mission critical workloads away from mainframes just in the fear of the year 2000 bug.
Okay. Then I can say that, SAP was like a savior and still it is. And yeah, SAP is also, going and it's getting backed with AI. So, I mean, I really love
Absolutely.
the journey of SAP, starting from there.
Absolutely. Obviously, there was a lot of focus in the industry to help customers with the existing IBM mainframes. There were companies and technologies available to able to scan your code, as I mentioned, document it, provide visibility, and even patch some of the areas of the code. But none of these efforts were comparable to what we are able to do today with agentic AI.
That is true. That is true. Today's thing is like huge and it's really completely automated now. And yeah, that I mean back then the days were a bit, let's say, were different, but now if you see it, everything is automated.
Right, right. And there is an intelligence behind the automation. I think we'll touch on it in
Yes,
our
yes.
podcast again, right?
Definitely. We are coming there. We are coming there pretty soon. So yeah. So now, Peter, I mean, now I'm seeing that, every company is seeing global consulting firms and, cloud providers reinvent their delivery models around AI. Now, from your experience, how is this ecosystem evolving? And what is exactly enabling better collaboration between these vendors, the GSIs, and the enterprises on the whole?
Thank you, Akhil. I think that what we see is a new kind of ecosystem coming up, right? Replacing the older ecosystems. And what is that new kind of ecosystem? I think it's not, it won't be about just vendors and integrators, as you mentioned, but primarily customers, cloud partners, service providers, everyone collaborating very closely. So if we look into the past, for decades, transformation followed a very linear path. Vendors built, integrators implemented, and customers consumed.
Yep.
This world is changing. It's going away. AI is making delivery networked and collaborative. An example, a consulting partner might now co-create a solution with an AI platform, right? Refine it using customer insights, and deliver it as a continuously evolving service.
Okay.
So everyone becomes part of a shared learning loop. And the thing that makes it all work is shared intelligence, patterns and insights that are anonymized, fed back, and improve the entire ecosystem. So I think future isn't just partnerships, it's ecosystem intelligence, so something new, right?
Yep.
And the organizations that win will treat collaboration as strategic capability, not a checkbox. It will be absolutely critical for the future.
100%, Peter. Now, when we talk about customer insights, Peter, like what is the type of AI that you will look into? Is it like, more into the OCR, the optical character recognition, where you're, trying to scan the documents and get the details and, fill it with a key value pair? Or is it computer vision with respect to video? Or is it the natural language process, with the what do I say, that the conversational AI? So how do you look at that?
Uh, I think I already introduced the term agentic AI in our in our
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah,
and
yeah.
in the context of our discussion, agentic AI is the game changer, in my opinion, to address that technical depth, because of what it does and how it does. Uh, it's it's a continuous innovation. It's actually a technology which allows continuous innovation, and that's probably the most critical part of it.
That's amazing. Now, apart from agentic AI, which is the approach that you would suggest, out of the three options which I just gave you?
Well, uh, probably there's something we would like to touch again on.
Okay.
It's and talk about the change, right? Because uh, with agentic AI and AI in general coming into our lives, into our businesses, right? We we see another major change, leading humanity, societies, businesses, also us as individuals. And if I may comment on this, eh, I think that, and this is what I have seen in my experience, that any transformation like this one, which is underway right now, is far more about the human energy than about the
Yeah.
technology. Yeah, because people need direction, people need belief, need trust. You can deploy the best systems, for example, AI systems on the market, but if your teams don't trust them and don't see themselves in the future, nothing moves. So leadership today is about creating clarity and confidence, turning complex ideas into simple messages, like explaining that new transformation, new opportunity, making sure people feel included. Right? Even the term clean core sounds so technical, but really it's giving teams freedom to innovate. That's how we should see it, right?
Yeah.
So transformation isn't something, and also that's one important thing I mentioned, it isn't something you finish, it's something you continue, right? So
That's amazing, Peter. So that completely, sums up the point for me, and that gives a complete roadmap to our listeners, who are listening to this podcast across the world. So that's pretty good. Now, Peter, I have seen that you have helped steer multiple innovation initiatives within the SAP community. Now, having said that, what have you learned about leading these transformations when technology moves faster than organizations can actually adapt to this particular aspect?
Right. Thank you so much. Uh, um, I'd like to talk about modernization, right? Because this is like a continuous um, uh, opportunity which comes with new technologies, like right now with AI. And and I would say this is not only related to AI, but transformation has often failed because teams started moving things instead of understanding them. So the first truth I would like to share is that you can't fix what you can't see. And
Yeah.
and the first rule is you need to document before you refactor. And AI can help here. Use AI to map logic, dependencies, usage, visibility changes everything. Then the rule number two is simplify before you automate, right? If you automate the complexity, you amplify problems. But
Yeah.
if you simplify first, automation becomes a force multiplier. And then rule number three I can think of is treat modernization as a learning loop, not as a milestone. The best organizations build simplifications into their rhythm, something they revisit continuously.
All right. That actually arises me to a new question now, Peter. So Peter, you just told me simplifying before automating the complexity. So what do you exactly mean by simplification in this? Like in a use case, how would you like to narrate this particular ideology?
So, so you remember the first step, documentation. So once you understand, or once you have documentation of your problem area, you have visibility. You know uh, almost everything about it, right? Then you can analyze it, and you can draw conclusions and actions to simplify what you have. For example, a compute code, application code, which was written 10, 20 years ago,
Okay.
can be done completely different today, right?
Yeah.
We have
Hmm.
APIs, we have new technologies, right? You have new ways how you access the data from a database, how you write it back to the database, for example, right? So I'm just mentioning a couple of uh, simple examples, but this is what you mean by simplification, right? Can you can you code this task in a much more simpler and effective way, which reduces the time, reduces the resources you need, like compute resources, database cycles, and everything else.
Right. That's amazing. Now you told me that when we talk about computing the code, Peter. So back then you told me like it was pretty difficult. Now you say that with the likes of APIs, things are becoming very easy. You are trying to get the external data sources. But before the existence of API, how was the situation like in the IT world when someone wanted to get the data sources?
Well, it depends how much back into the past we want to go, 10, 20, 10 years. Um, eh, when we go back to the beginnings, almost everything had to be written in the code, right? In your program, right? Uh, uh, then then new technologies evolved, like APIs, and many of those technologies have come with the cloud, right? And they have changed the way how you program, how you write, programs. It has also affected uh, SAP ABAP language, right? That language has evolved over decades, right? So
That's right. That's a pretty insightful one, Peter. So that actually answers my question. So that's very much good. So now, Peter, I'm pretty much keen to understand this. Like I've heard from many people now that many enterprises have struggled to modernize the decades of custom logic without losing the business, without losing the business context. Now, what patterns of best practices have you observed that the others could apply when they are tackling all these large scale modernization issues?
Well, it goes back to what we touched upon just a moment ago. Those I would like to kind of go back to those three principles. I mean, the first one is think about documenting before you move, before you do anything. The thing
Okay.
about understanding everything about your previous code, your older code, your custom code, and
Okay.
agentic AI can help you here. Can help you put together documentation you've never had before. Once you have this documentation, then you are well set to look at simplifications. And like, for example, in SAP space, simplifications uh, um, can be guided through looking at the clean core standard. We call it fit to standard. So you can
Mhm.
review your custom code compared to the clean core standard and see which parts of your code are actually good, are within the clean core standard, right?
Yeah.
Uh, which parts of your code are actually redundant because SAP platform today offers standard features that custom code, which was written 10, 20 years ago, is not needed anymore because there is a standard feature for that. So it's redundant, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, what's very critical here, that simplification process allows you to identify the parts of your custom code. And for many customers, these are still hundreds of thousands lines of code, which are very critical to the business. They are their intellectual property, and they would like to take it, so to say, to the cloud, right? Use it in the future, and and um, and while using it, leverage the new AI capabilities. And and if this code does not fit the clean core standard, right,
Yeah.
it needs to be transformed. And agentic AI can help you again.
Yeah.
Agentic and AI can help you actually code that part of your programming from scratch using a clean core standard, right? So using that
Okay.
kind of a simplification pattern.
All right. So when we talk about the agentic AI, Peter, this I mean, just I'm pretty much keen to ask you this. Like, do you recommend agentic AI for all the students who are in university who are writing their assignments and to all the freshers who have joined the company? So do you recommend them to immediately start using agentic AI, or that they should first learn the code and then use agentic AI? So what's your approach to that?
Well, I would intuitively think about a sequence, but you could do it in parallel as well. Obviously, uh, and takes us a little bit into understanding how agentic AI works. And the easiest way to kind of explain it, you can imagine a digital team being part of a team, right?
Yeah.
And that team includes humans, us, and the digital colleagues, right? Um, and then in the context of agentic AI, instead of one large model doing everything,
Yeah.
then you have the entire team, right? The humans as well as the agents having a very clear job and doing the job. So, for example, you can have an agent which reads the code. You have another one which checks the compliance,
Hmm.
proposes improvements, yet another which does the tests. And those agents work in a team, so they talk to each other, they validate each other's work, they flag anything they are unsure about, right? Uh, and and this is actually that mirrors the real enterprise teams work, right? Because it's modular, it's auditable, and it's transparent, right? It's a team effort. And but there is very important aspect that the human colleagues, right? The humans stay fully in the loop in that teamwork, right?
Yep.
AI handles the volume, and people make the decisions. So so that's why I strongly believe that what you have brought up is absolutely critical. Learning programming is what we need to do. We need to excel on this, right? Because we will be expected to be the subject matter experts, right? Working in those
Yes.
um, hybrid teams together. And I like to bring another kind of a term into our podcast. I feel this is we can call it collaborative intelligence, right?
Mhm.
And I think this is one of the most important shifts happening right now.
All right. So, when we talk about the agentic AI, Peter, honestly, you were just saying that, one agentic AI works on the test and the other works on the development. So I feel like, they're almost like a digital employee. Seriously, it's like a digital employee. One is
That's
actually,
right.
four people are actually, reporting to the main agentic AI who's like a boss. So I say parallelly, the same thing what a software development lifecycle happens, but it's happening more in an automative way. So I feel that's the greatness of the agentic AI for sure.
That's right.
It's interesting, Peter. No, Peter. I mean, I've seen that there's a growing buzz around the multi-agent AI systems. Now, could you unpack like why they are and how they might change the way the enterprises build, test, and govern these mission critical software, particularly in environments like SAP. I know we just touched upon the point of the multi-agent systems, but let's go a bit deep into it now.
Very happy to. I feel that agentic AI provides uh, an opportunity we've never had before to extend the the systems, the business systems we have built, and SAP platform is a great example of it. Because those systems or platforms, let's use the term platform. Uh, First, they contain enterprise data. So everything every business uh, needs to have, and probably the most critical asset of the business, right? They contain it, they maintain it, right? They manage it. Uh, that layer also allows customers to integrate data which is outside of their enterprises. It could be the partners' data, it could be the
Hmm.
customers' data, it could be even a public domain data, right? But there is a powerful layer of data which is proprietary and non-proprietary, structured and unstructured,
Yeah.
um, you know, uh, available to the enterprises, right? And then you have standard applications, and SAP applications are a great example of them, which deliver the business functions like financials, like supply chain, right? Just to mention, human resources, right? I mentioned examples, and then envision that on top of this, now you get um, agentic AI on AI layer. Layer
Okay.
will builds on top, take advantage of the data available, advantage of the business applications, and extends the platform capabilities, and makes it really very quick, right? So you can envision it as like kind of a flywheel, right? For
Yeah.
for for the customers, for the business moving forward.
I feel the agentic AI is more like a strategist. Basically it's monitoring everything. It's taking count of, okay, this is the thing, this is the data, and I need to get this result, from there. Now, when we talk about this particular thing, Peter, now, like you told me that, there are different departments, there are like HR, there's supply chain. But let's say, you got a document, from each of them, and, that's in the form of a JSON file. So do you think, working on a JSON file is easier, or do you think, I mean, to work on a document like a PDF is easier? I mean, what is your call on that when it comes to the agentic AI?
So I would say that AI does not differentiate, and AI can help us humans with with both examples, right? And I think this is how we want to see AI, and probably, and this is how AI is coming into our business lives, professional lives, right? That we reach out to AI as for example, as a co-pilot, helping us with the first steps, with visibility, with simpler tasks, with understanding of the document, right? No matter what format it is. I hope
Yeah,
that I answer your question. Uh, and then
100%. Yeah.
and then you can think about agentic AI as a platform of agents, right? Working with you, which can take more complex tasks, right? With this particular document or what your business objective is, right? And they can work on it on their own. They can reason themselves, right? They can lead towards uh, desired outcomes while consulting with you, right?
Yeah.
While sharing the results with you, and maybe in some critical points, even asking you for your point of view or your direction, how to proceed.
Okay. That that completely sums up the point, Peter, precisely. So now, Peter, like I've seen that on social media, and I've really heard good things about Nova Intelligence and a lot of beautiful things, a lot of beautiful insights I've come across with. Now, having said that, you and your team have begun exploring the agentic AI for enterprise systems, before it became a trend. Now, I mean, how did what gap did you see in these companies, in how these companies have approached this modernization, and how did that insight evolve into what became the greatness of Nova Intelligence?
So Nova started with a very simple and painful reality. Enterprises wanted to transform, but they did not actually understand their own systems. There was little documentation, no clear business logic, just years of code layered, custom code like really layered on top of more code.
Yeah.
So we realized that before modernization, you need understanding at scale, right? So we built an AI agent that could read the code and explain what it does, and it was
Yeah.
an immense improvement, as the first step anyway. But once that foundation was strong, the foundation of understanding what you have, we expanded into mapping, simplifying, and guiding modernization, right? Some
Right.
examples we used just a moment ago. What surprised us was how quickly developers embraced it. They started calling those agents their AI team. They didn't feel replaced, they felt supported. And that partnership between human insight and machine reasoning became our guiding principle. And then we
Fantastic.
expanded the platform also to include the code generation. So for those parts of the custom code which need to be transformed, we have agents which generate the code and do the unit tests and make sure that the code is then clean core compliant. Coming back to the term we used earlier.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's a fantastic approach, Peter. Now, Peter, talking about the agentic AI. So, when was the first time that you actually created your own agentic AI, like as a test? So, which year was that in?
So the company has been out for 2 years, and the company started with some remarkable results in the area of code generation. It was in 2024. We were benchmarked as one of the best, most significant coding technologies available in the market. And over these 2 years, uh, we innovated the entire platform to allow it to do the documentation, simplification, and then the transformation itself, which led us to the beginnings of this year when we could start working with customers. And this year, which is coming to the end, has been a
Yeah.
full, packed, busy year of working with customers.
Right. I mean, it doesn't feel like, the year is ending because I feel like, 2025 was just done in a jiffy. Seriously, it's
That,
hard to believe.
That's how it feels, Akhil. It's a little bit scary because we can think that
Uh,
2026 might move even faster.
yep, it is what it is, but we need to, just move along with that. So yeah, you just gave me that, the idea of, how Nova Intelligence came into existence. So before the genesis of Nova Intelligence, did you ever have a chance of, creating your own agentic AI, Peter? Like, out of curiosity, like you wanted to
Not
create
not
one.
not 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 myself. I had opportunity to innovate AI systems in my previous careers. In With Pure Storage, it was in the area of data services and enterprise storage for large enterprises. At the time when they started embracing AI and had to build a very strong data management layer to support it, right? But in previous careers, I in early days I included AI into observability solutions, so solutions which monitor applications, monitor complex AI, IT environments, and infuse them with AI to bring those new capabilities in terms of predictive management, right? Machine learning. So those
Right,
technologies which were available um, have been available now for 2 decades, I would say.
right, right. Okay, that's a beautiful thing. Now, which year was that in, uh, Peter? Was it like in 2020, 2021? Which year was that exactly in?
So I would say the time of on fusing AI into observability and performance management tools, these were the early 2000s, right?
Oh,
Um,
way back. Yeah.
oh yeah, way back. Yeah, we've had these systems around for quite some time. And they have been very successful helping businesses solve critical problems. In the years of 2010, 2015, uh, we, we witnessed fantastic implementations, for example, of machine learning in businesses. You know, bringing the so-called concept of intelligent edge into the enterprise. I had the honor to work at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, one of the pioneers of this direction, which was embraced by many businesses, right? Bringing that,
Okay.
you know, if you can envision a retail store floor or manufacturing floor, right, into the IT, right? Bringing it all together, bringing that automation and taking it outside of the data center, right? Connecting all of this together.
All right. Fantastic. I mean, the true beginnings. So back then, how was your approach on AI? Like, I mean, everyone was not pretty much sure that, AI was this. So if people ask you, Peter, like, what can you tell me about AI? How would you like to, explain them back in 2000s and 2015s?
Yeah, if we can make a comparison between the early days and what we're witnessing this year and what's coming along, I would call it that in those previous decades we looked at AI in a kind of a fragmented fashion, right? We were able to bring AI to the business in fragmented through fragmented use cases, right?
Okay.
Now today, 2025, 2026 coming along, we can really take a holistic view, and
All
this is
right.
what we see probably all of us, right? Because we see it how businesses look at AI. We see how individual employees, students, all of us individuals look at AI, right? And
Yep.
and how we are open to leverage it any part of our life,
Yep.
similarly to the business, right?
Completely, completely. Peter, that completely, sums up the point. No, I mean, through our conversation, I totally understand this. Like, as AI has become more deeply embedded, across the enterprise system, since you were talking about the enterprise systems in the beginning. as far as I remember in the start of the conversation. So adding to the layer of that, what should technology and business leaders focus on to ensure so that they get this real sustainable value in terms of the data, whether it's skills, culture, and from the next wave that they are heading on for. So what's your take on that?
I think there are two ideas, two thoughts which come to mind and like to kind of talk about. And one of them is trust, and the other one is adaptability.
Okay.
Because AI will be everywhere. We feel it coming in every aspect of our life and aspects of the business. But the real value will come when for organizations and for all of us when we're able to explain it, to govern it, and to evolve it responsibly. So technologists need explainability and traceability. Business leaders need teams that feel confidently working with AI and not, for example, being intimidated by it. So we are moving from isolated, fragmented automation
Yep.
to continuous intelligence, to systems that learn and improve every day. Right? So I wouldn't think about AI as a tool anymore in this context.
Okay.
I think of AI as a capability. You grow, right? Because the businesses, the organizations that build trust, agility, and learning into the AI will lead the next decade. Strongly believe it.
100%, 100%, Peter. Now, as an optimistic approach, I'm keen to ask you this. Like, I've seen AI has been applied across all the sectors. Now, which sector do you think that AI has not yet, touched its mark, not yet experimented yet?
I can hardly think of one. Talking
Yeah.
to customers, and we've been talking to customers across all industries, right, and regions, and even geographically, when you think how global regions invest and you see it around the globe. So I would rather say I have not been able to kind of come up with one. There
Okay.
might be just the kind of level of maturity or how deeply those specific industries have already embraced AI, but
Okay.
I strongly believe everybody is fully involved.
100%. Now, do you think robotics has, touched AI? Do you think robotics has got that crossover with AI yet?
Absolutely, yes, yes, and then I will help integrate robotics into kind of a bigger picture of operating businesses, yes, and also in consumers environments.
Right. So like when it comes to, the work that you're doing, do you see that, robotics also will play a huge role when it comes, with the what do I say, with the improvement, or let's say with the advent of agentic AI? Do you see those two worlds, getting collide?
Yes, yes, definitely. I mean, there will be a huge leverage. Integration is not the only aspect. The aspect is taking the robotics capabilities to the next level, bringing them together with with thinking about businesses with specific business functions, um, uh, developing completely new use cases we haven't seen before, which help automate, but uh, once again bringing that back, that term, uh, bringing in that uh,
Clean core.
intelligent automation, right? Then
Yes, the
continuous
intelligent.
automation, right?
So, Peter, before we, conclude our podcast session, let's take a lighter route in the form of a rapid fire round. All this while I was completely, bombarding you with the questions of agentic AI, about your journey, about your company, the excellence that your company is dealing with, with respect to the agentic AI world, about its inception, then also, your take on the clean core and all of that. So now in the form of a rapid fire round, let's go for a complete lighter route. Nothing about technology, nothing about the agentic AI, but just talking about your likes and interests. So before starting the rapid fire round, Peter, are you ready with the first question of the rapid fire round?
I am ready. I'm truly excited.
Perfect. Perfect. So the first question to you, Peter. So what is your favorite football team? Since you come from Germany, so I'm pretty keen to understand that.
Oh, I appreciate this question and coming first. There are so many talented teams worldwide, and I can tell you, I find really a joy when we have a World Cup and we can see that global talent, right?
Yeah.
And playing those amazing games, right, over 2 or 3 weeks time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Truly delightful. But when I come back to the country I come from, I think of Borussia Dortmund, and I
Oh,
think about them for the following reason. Uh, they they have accomplished over decades wonderful things, wonderful successes with a budget which is much less than other teams they had to compete against.
I know.
That
I
that
know.
already inspired me and inspired watching them.
100%. So, I mean, I really love this era when, Jurgen Klopp was the manager of Borussia Dortmund and he changed the team like anything.
Yes, and Jurgen proved while moving on and coaching other teams, he proved the talent and inspiration and the potential which somehow was born within the Borussia Dortmund history and legacy.
100%. There's no doubt on that. And yeah, yes, everything starts from Borussia and then, everything ended in Liverpool. So, I mean, hearty congratulations to Borussia Dortmund for that. Now, when we talk about Borussia Dortmund, Peter, who is your all-time favorite player in that team?
The first one who comes to my mind, because it goes back to those glory days where Borussia really proved the point I shared. I think it was Robert Lewandowski. Obviously,
Oh,
Borussia
wow.
has now fantastic players, but I think Robert was one of the first stars.
I'll surprise you if I tell you who's my favorite player. Everyone is like huge fans of, Messi or Ronaldo or let's say Kylian Mbappe, but I'm a huge fan of Robert Lewandowski. Trust me, I'm telling it, live in front of you, and I really love, his dedication. He's a complete goal scoring machine, literally a goal scoring machine. He is, and he's terrific. So yeah, and Peter, I just wanted to share with you that Messi is coming to Hyderabad, so a lot of fan frenzy is going on with that.
Oh wow, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So everyone is looking forward because not many footballers turn up to Hyderabad because it's not a football based city. It's a cricket based city. Cricket is our local sport, so we literally enjoy that. So a football player coming to Hyderabad is something big for us. So
I did learn to play cricket, and I might surprise
really,
you now. I learned it in India.
oh,
I
okay,
had a unique honor and opportunity in my life as a teenager to grow up in India and go to a high school in India. So I did play cricket after the school every day.
nice.
I think it was like from 3 to 4 or something like. There was like a sports time,
Okay.
uh, and, and really got into it.
That's nice. That's unique. I mean, so how did you go to India? I mean, that's pretty much surprising. So what led you? I mean, from Germany all the way to, Bihar, as far as I had, in our conversations you told me. So how did that move happen?
Oh, well, there was a family move. My father
Okay.
had the pleasure to work in India and consult Indian companies for many years. That was during my teenage time, and at some point um, he brought the family to India, and India
Okay.
became our home for 3 years. Yes.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty unique thing I'm hearing about. So since you were based in Bihar, so what was your favorite Indian food that you liked the most during your stay? I mean, during your 3 year stay there?
So I love Indian food. Already this is when it started. And curries, all type of curries. Just this is my most favorite, not only spice, but it has to be Indian food. Uh, Most favorite dishes.
Nice, nice. So if you have to name one Indian dish, do you like anything that is with paneer? So that cottage cheese with some curry, do you like that?
Yes, yes, I like that as well. Yes, 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 yes.
Nice, nice. That's pretty good to hear. I mean, you had your good first time in Bihar. So when you went to Bihar, how was your experience? With all the with the localites there, with the people from Bihar. So how was that? How was the hospitality like?
Oh, wonderful. I mean, really, we had and it already, like, when you're a teenager, it always is related to your school and friends you make at school. So
Yeah.
these are wonderful moments. And At the time, I made a lot of friends. It was very, very, I would call it intercultural. When we talk about food, it was about sharing
Yeah.
lunches. I was coming with the boring German sandwiches, and we were trading our lunch boxes.
Oh
Uh,
wow, that's nice.
Interesting enough, there was quite an interest to try German lunch, but I was always so happy to get some good Indian lunch as a reward of the exchange. So
That's nice. That's very good to hear, actually, Peter, for sure. Now, Peter, since you're based in San Francisco, if I give you, an option, or let's say a word, like what are those three best restaurants that are always in your go-to list for, going for any dinner or lunch in San Francisco?
so there are so many. I would I would point a street, the Mission, and there's a district in San Francisco, Mission District, which is very well known, and actually pretty well attended by people coming to San Francisco and working in the IT, in the
Okay.
Silicon Valley industry, in AI. And Mission Street is like a street with restaurants one to each other. So you have a choice of all types of cuisines you can imagine, and you can walk. So if that's a good way of share, kind of pointing, that probably would be my most favorite.
Mission Street. Okay. Nice, nice. That's good. That's good, Peter. So, Peter, now the next question to you, like, what is that German TV show that you would like to, recommend to our listeners who are watching it across the world?
I don't watch too much TV, but there's one which comes right away to my mind, which is a little bit different, and I think way different than anywhere else. And this is a German TV tradition which goes back like decades. So I remember it as a kid. Uh, and that series has never disappeared from the German TV. It's always there, and it's always on Monday evening. So Monday evening, like
Oh,
7 p.m. There's like
mhm.
usually like in 1 hour. And it's a kind of a crime series, about police detectives, solving solving
Yeah,
crime issues. And the title of that series is actually Crime Scene, Tatort.
I
But
thought,
but if
okay.
you would ask any German anywhere in the world, if he or she knew Tatort, everybody would say, "Oh yeah, I remember Monday evening."
Wow, nostalgia. That's true nostalgia, I would say. Nice, nice. That's pretty good. So now, I mean, heading on to the next question of mine. So, I mean, who is that favorite German music artist that you like to listen the most to?
So I was surprised a little bit, and this is maybe uh, uh, kind of a side effect that I have become a global citizen.
Okay.
Uh, I I find high interest in the electronic music, in the beat music, which is very very uh, international and global. Has a lot of its inspirations in Germany. There are hubs, famous hubs like Berlin, with a lot of composers of digital music, but also um, outside of Germany in Europe, like probably there's a Spanish island, Ibiza, which has kind of become
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one of
Yes.
those well-known in this space. So this is what I listen to quite a lot, and sometimes it's hard to kind of, because it's so international and so global. Somehow it's hard to distinguish who is the German composer, who is the Spanish composer, who is the American,
Yeah.
and I kind of like that, that um, cosmopolitan, let's say, if I may
Yeah.
use that word, touch of it.
Right, right. That's amazing, Peter. Now, Peter, if I ask you the other one, like, what is your favorite holiday destination, then what would that be?
So I am very much weather driven, I would say. So it it would have to be a blue sky, sunny weather. No
Okay.
matter if it's a four-season climate, if it's kind of a winter time or summertime, but the blue sky and sun makes the change for me, and makes the day for me like feel like I'm on holiday. Maybe that's why I live in California nowadays. I'm not sure.
Coincidentally, yeah. Right, right. That's amazing. Now, if I have to ask you, like, what is your favorite movie franchise in Hollywood? What would that be?
Oh, the Indian movies, wonderful. I cannot make ad hoc like references to the specific titles, but I do remember the movies,
Okay.
and many people don't realize that the Indian movie industry is larger than Hollywood, right? In terms of
Yeah,
budgets
it is.
and number of movies produced a year.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
it's amazing, and when you live in India, it's a great
It's
pleasure
huge.
to, like, for example, an experience of watching those movies in social settings,
Yeah,
like clubs, because usually, like usually in Europe or in the United States, you either watch your movie at home or in a kind of a movie theater. It could be a private one or a public one. But when I was a, a school kid, I remember watching movies in clubs, but I also remember, I don't know if this is still there, but you would drive through villages in the evening, and they would put up like huge screens, right, in the open air,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
would
yeah,
play
yeah,
the movies. And I think this goes back many years, right, to my teenage time.
yeah,
But
yeah.
this was, I think, what made the movies available to everybody in India.
Hmm.
You didn't need to have a TV set, right, at the time. You didn't need to go to a movie theater. The movie came to your village, right,
It
and you
came to
could
you.
sit
Yeah.
down and watch it. And uh, I think this is part of probably success or and legacy of the Indian movie industry.
100%, 100%. Now, we were talking about the movie, the Indian movie industry. Now, when it comes to Hollywood, Peter, what is your favorite movie franchise there?
Um, I like movies that kind of uh, um, entertain and inspire, I would say, right? So it could be an action movie. It
Okay.
could be uh, it could be a comedy. It could be a thriller. Uh,
All right.
but but um, I, I I enjoy a movie, and enjoy when the movie ends and it keeps you thinking for a while about something what you feel is very valuable, right? Kind of
Yeah,
bring something to your life.
that is absolutely true, Peter. Truly. So, the final question to you in this rapid fire round. So, I mean, what was the first car that you have purchased?
My first car. My first car was actually an Italian car.
Okay.
Yes, a small Italian car. As a matter of fact, I have to say something different. And I have to kind of reverse.
Yeah.
Actually, my first car was American car. You wouldn't believe it. I came to the United States as an exchange student during my college time, and and it, you needed a car, right? It was the first time in my life when I needed a car because this is how you could get from where
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
live,
know.
to where your classes are. So, and at the time, the the easiest and probably um, least expensive way of buying a car was buying an old American, like car, like which would be like 20 years old, but it would still run, right? And you would get it just for a couple of $100, something what probably is not
hundred
possible anymore.
dollars for a
But
rent.
but
Wow.
my first car was Buick, one of those large cars, which I got for like $600, and
Okay.
it served me throughout my college 2 years of college in California. So that was my first, and the second one was the European, was the Fiat, right, uh, which um, um, which I also enjoyed quite a lot. A completely different, a different type of car, right, and technology.
That's pretty much good to hear, and that's a beautiful trivia and a good thing. Let's say back to the memory lane of yours. So that's good. So I'll give you choices between the German cars that you prefer. So I'll give you three choices. So is
Okay,
so first is Volkswagen. If I can call it in German, it's Volkswagen, right?
that's right, that's right.
Yeah. So Volkswagen, BMW, Audi. So which of the cars would you prefer out of these three?
So I'm more like a Beamer, like BMW fan, and somehow that passion for BMW innovation developed pretty early in my life, and I tended in my past, to buy and to drive BMWs of different types, sedans, two doors, convertibles as well. But that would be between those three. That would be my primary choice. Yes.
Nice, nice. That's a pretty good choice, Peter. So, Peter, finally, thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule and being part of my podcast initiative. It was a lovely conversation today. Talking around entirely around the agentic AI and its excellence that it can bring to the world. And I really loved your insights. Basically, your opinion about what is the agentic AI is, and about your journey, how you begin. And I really loved one concept that the most today was clean core. So you just gave me a clear understanding about what clean core is. So these concepts literally, blew me away. So I just enjoyed the conversation thoroughly today. So thank you so much, Peter, once again.
Akil, thank you for hosting me. It's been a special honor and pleasure, and I'm also so happy that we have been able to touch on not only on technology, but we
Yes.
have been able to touch on food. We've been able to touch on cars, on
Yeah.
soccer, on cricket. So really enjoyed the time.
Many
Thank you,
things,
Akil.
I could say this podcast is a best of everything. So that's the thing today. Amazing. All right. So, listeners, on this note, this is your host, Akhil Navluri, signing off. We will be back with another podcast episode with another eminent industry leader very soon. Till then, keep listening. Goodbye, stay tuned, and au revoir, and thank you.